very happy morning to everybody watching us. Good morning, our fans and lovers, the lovers of Kenite publishers and pedagogues, educational services. We thank the Almighty God who has given us the golden opportunities to see this day, and we wish all children of school going age and school administrators a very happy resumption of 2023 of 2024-2025 academic session. This is a platform dedicated to giving educational information and various strategies on improvement of the educational system across the length and breadth of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and South Africa. Give kudos to all our fans and lovers, those who watch us every time we produce, and those who allow our clips to be shared across different platforms in the country and outside the country. We say thank you to you. Like you know that what we discuss on this platform are educational matters, most especially on English language, educational matters in the counseling arena, as well as educational matters at the administrative level. Silver or gold, I do not have to give the educational system, but what I have is what I give, which is educational service delivery for the improvement of the educational system. Those who are whole need not physician, but only for those who are not whole. Àwọn tí ara wọn yá, wọ́n yẹ fún oníṣègùn bí kò ṣe àwọn tí ara wọn kò dáa. Ó wù Ọlọ́run ọba kò pè mí sí law, ó wù kò pè mí sí medicine, ó wù nínú àánú ẹ̀ nígbà tó wù Ọlọ́run ọba tó yà mí sọ́tọ̀ nínú iṣẹ́ nínú ìyá mi ló pè mí sínú iṣẹ́ ètò ẹ̀kọ́. Kí n lè máa yànnàná ètò ẹ̀kọ́, kí ní ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kó lè máa jó fùfù, kó má dẹ̀ ṣe ju àjòyẹ rẹ̀yìn láéláé. When it pleases God who separated me from my mother's womb, He gave me the pedagogical call in order to discuss educational matters across the length and breadth of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and South Africa, in order that the educational system, that education might be a beacon light of hope for many students and children of school-going age. Education remains a vibrant tool and a formidable ladder for national development. Education remains the only beacon of hope that can give the country a better hope, and the only ladder for greater heights in the society. Unreserved appreciation goes to the lovers of pedagogues and our WhatsApp community for your sustainability and for your love. I use this medium to thank you so much. God bless you. And I use this medium to thank all our customers across the length and breadth of the country for your support towards the platform. This morning we'll be discussing a very crucial and genuine issue, which is the talk of the town in recent time, and of course a new development we have to address as regards the failure of students or school-going age in terminal examination, most especially in literary studies. And we are going to be talking about what parents, what school administrators, what children of school-going age, what the government and what everybody, every stakeholder needs to do in order to reduce the problem of failing literature in English in terminal examinations such as WAEC, such as NECO, such as JAMB, and many other examinations. Failure of literature in English cannot be addressed in isolation. It is the collective responsibility of everybody in the educational system to address. There are many misconceptions about where the problem of failing literature can emanate from, and in most cases teachers are very vulnerable set of people who do not know how to go about, who are so weak, who are so weak in defending themselves on what they need to say on why children of school-going age fail literature. It is visible to the blind and audible to the deaf, like the biblical meneteke. A number of reasons why students fail literature in English. That's what we'll be bringing to you this morning in a very clear, profuse, and unapologetic dialogue on why students fail literature in English. Pedagogues is dedicated to discussing educational issues and problems, challenges in the most profuse, unapologetic way, and of course in the most sincere and apt manner. A child of school-going age that will do well in examination, it takes the collective responsibility of the parents as well as the child of school-going age. The teacher also at some point or the other needs to contribute his quota in a significant way to making sure that the child in question passes the examination. Most of the time the society has missed it because we have forgotten some ancient parts, we have forgotten some principles of academic excellence. Parents who are paying school children's fees have forgotten some irrefutable principles of academics, and in recent time they want the teachers to perform magic so that the child of school-going age could pass. Whether the child of school-going age is competent or not is not done. We just have to remind ourselves of some of the principles that needs to be put in place for the child of school-going age to do well in their examinations. Use this medium to thank those that are viewing us at the moment, those that are online with us. Thank you so much, and God bless you for your time. We appreciate you. The Pedagogues is dedicated to reviving the reading culture among children of school-going age, because a reader is definitely a leader. We will have a better society if we have better leaders. If the school is going to function in a capacity to give us sustainable youths and sustainable workers, manpower in the society, then the educational system needs to be revived. Every stakeholder needs to be up their game in reviving the capsiding educational system. Literary studies is always a very engaging one, because even at the terminal examination, we all know that the children of school-going age needs to go through a lot of tests, both the African test and the non-African test, which will qualify them to be able to write the examination. What are the dispositions of the parents towards acquiring tests for the children? What are the disposition of students of school-going age to reading in recent time? Are they really interested in reading? Why are they not interested? If they are not reading, why are they not? Then what are the things that we can do to make sure that we revive their interest in the reading culture and making reading their lifestyle once more? That is only when they will be able to succeed in literary studies and literature examinations. Sí àrọ̀ wa kankan tá a fẹ́ máa pa fún ọmọ tí kò kópa ìyá ẹ̀ jẹ, because nǹkan tó bá ti yẹ ká ṣe tá a bá ti ṣe ká má expect a result o, because the teacher is not a magician. wọ̀nyí àti àwọn ìbéèrè oríṣiríṣi tó máa tawọ́ tasẹ̀ nínú àwọn òbí, tó máa tawọ́ tasẹ̀ nínú àwọn olùkọ́ náà la fẹ́ máa yànnàná ní òwúrọ̀ yìí kí a lè fi ìdí òdodo ká lè fi múlẹ̀ ìdí tí Pentacles ṣe wà nìyẹn. Thank you very much. Without wasting our time this morning, I will be discussing in a very profuse and sincere way from my heart on why students of school-going age face failure, why they record failure in terminal examinations. Like we know that literary studies is a very engaging one, that literary studies, for you to be a student of literature, you have to be an adept reader. You have to be somebody who could stay at the reading table for several hours. You should be somebody who is interested. You should be somebody who is well equipped with the linguistic arsenal, somebody who is well equipped with language, because the power of language is what has been used to write literature. Even literature at times is defined as the elevated way of writing. It is not an ordinary way of writing at times. So somebody who will appreciate literature better needs to be somebody who is in tune with language and somebody who is very proficient in the use of language. So literature is a mirror of life. Literature is an imitation of real life situation. Literature is a social document and a historical document. It records our culture. Literature is something to be enjoyed because it is meant to entertain. Literature is meant to raise philosopher kings, to tune us to be good thinkers in our society. But as good as this field of study is, why are students of school-going age not getting it right? Why are parents not getting it right? Why are teachers even in question? Teachers teaching the subject at times, why are they not getting it right? What is the perspective of the society? What are the things that the society needs to do? What are the things that the government needs to do? What are the things that the school administrators need to do to ensure that students are doing well in literary studies? These are the things that we want to put across this morning. In recent time, when a particular child does not do well in mathematics, when he does not do well in other sciences, the administrators at times just think that this child cannot do well, is a slow learner, he cannot do well academically, let us push him to art class. So in most cases, the caliber of children and pupils that we have in art class at times are those that are pushed away from the sciences, and those who we tag as not to do well, we bring them to the art class, thinking that the art class is a place for laziness, thinking that the art class is a place where you may not read and you will succeed. That is the perspective of many people, and that is the perspective of many students who find themselves in the art class. So that's why by the time they come around and analyzing literary tests, by the time they come around and they are doing literary oriented subjects and other art subjects like government, which takes you to comprehend and read very well, they will not be able to do well because they cannot stay too long behind at the reading table. So it is very much important for children of school-going age to know that for you to be a scholar in literature, for you to be a student of literature, for you to be an art student, the reading culture must be your lifestyle. It is something you should enjoy doing, whether you are told to do it or not. Without this, the child of school-going age cannot do well in literature-oriented subjects. Then in recent time, from 2009 to the present moment, there has been a very great decline in the performance of children of school-going age in terminal literature examinations, which has generated a lot of controversies among scholars. It has generated a lot of controversies among administrators as to the reason students of school-going age are not performing well. But in most cases, even administrators, educational specialists we address this situation in isolation. We shift the entire blame on the teachers as if it is the teacher only that is the factor for failure of children of school going age. No, it's not only the teacher that is the factor. The teacher could be a factor if the teaching method is not good, if the teacher himself is lazy, if the teacher him or herself does not have the material, if the teacher him or herself has not actually really adequately prepared the children of school going age and has not covered the entire ground, the teacher can be the factor. If there is disjointed learning experience, if the teacher that is teaching the subject is being changed from one time to the other, if the teacher handling literature is not even the competent teacher that should handle it, these are some of the faults of the teachers that will lead to failure in the literature examination. But be that as it may, there are many other factors that will lead to failure of children of school going age in literature. Now, let me just give us the analysis of what the examining bodies are expecting these children to do. They are expecting them to write 6 questions, theory questions on 6 different tests. So they usually have African play, non-African play, African drama, non-African drama, African poems, which are 6, and non-African poems, which are another 6. So if a child of school going age has not gone through all the literary tests, and of course it should not even be one time that a child will go through the literary test. A child that is preparing for exam could have even gone through each of the literary tests three times before writing the examination. That is the child that is preparing for exam, because it has to be intensely read. But in recent time, children of school going age in public and private schools alike prefer to press Android. They prefer to do Yahoo. They prefer to do many other things. They prefer to use their time before the social media rather than using their time to study. Such children will definitely face failure in terminal examination. Even when some of them depend on examination malpractice to pass literature in English, it is always very easy to detect examination malpractice in literature, because you are expected to write 6 theory questions, 6 essay questions, and the examiner is expecting you to use your own language. The examiner is expecting you to dwell so much on your residual knowledge of the test. Whereas in recent time, children don't even read the literary test before going to the examination. So they only write what has been given to them by the examination bureaus, because that's the order of the day in our country at times. We are talking about examination malpractice. So in such a situation, there will be failure, because by the time the examiner is marking it and discover that 50 students write the same thing, how is 50 students write an examination and think alike? It's not possible for them to think alike and write the same thing. It's not possible. So that is why some of them fail, because it will be so evident that these children have actually copied verbatim something from the examination bureaus or from the marking scheme, which is very, very wrong. So if passing literature in English will be possible one more time, which we believe is very, very possible, the reading culture must be revived among the children of school going age. Then if a child is not proficient in English language, what you use to analyze literary text is language. What you use to present your answer is language. So it is very important for you to have a very proper mastery of language from your primary and the junior secondary school before you even come to the art class. The reading, writing, and arithmetic is the hallmark of literacy, which needs to be achieved before a child of school going age leaves the primary educational system. So all these things need to be in place. If a child cannot read, some of them are even in senior classes and they find themselves in art class, they cannot even read very well. So in such a situation, what do you expect the teacher in question to do? The teacher in question will just come to the class and do his quota, and at the end of the day, If the child cannot read, he will not be able to enjoy what the teacher is saying. Then vocabulary development. What is the level of the development of the child's vocabulary? In recent times, it is very important that immediately a child is in GS1 or the child is in GS3 and senior class, it is expected for every child to have a dictionary to themselves, to him or herself. So the possession of a dictionary will enable the child to improve linguistically. We enable the child to improve his linguistic arsenal, which is the tool for analyzing literature. So very, very much important. If the language of a particular child is not good, will not be able to really write excellently, will not be able to write like a scholar in examinations. So it is expected of parents to know. Àwọn òbí gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ wípé tọ́mọ wọn bá ti bára wọn ní art class máa ná wọn ní ìwé lóríṣiríṣi. For example, they will buy 4 different literary tests. To say the minimum, they will buy 4 literary tests: African play, non-African play, African prose, non-African prose, and they will buy books that is discussing the 12 poems that is expected of them to write. After which they buy these tests, it is necessary for them to buy a standard commentary textbook. The commentary textbook is never a substitute for the main test. It is when the child of school-going age has gone through the main test severally, not even one time, not even 2 times. There are some of the tests that a serious child can finish reading it in a single day. So at the end of the academic 6 academic years, we have some children who have not even gone through some tests, and they are expecting their teacher to perform wonders. It's not possible. It's not possible. When they do not do what is expected of them, then it is just so easy for them to fail. There is nothing the teacher can do about that. There is absolutely nothing the teacher can do about that. The child in question needs to play his role, needs to be motivated to read. Then the teacher in question needs to be so interested in helping these children by ensuring that they cover the syllabus and treating enough past questions with them. Without this, the children of school-going age will fail. There is nothing we can do about that. And literature remains one of the subjects, is a key subject in the art class. If a child of school-going age does not pass literature in English, he will not be able to study some art-oriented courses, some key art-oriented courses like law, like mass comm, and many other courses that are related to art studies. So parents should know that it's going to cost them money right from SS1 when their child is being enrolled in the art class. It is important for them to know. It is many parents that cause their children failure in literature studies. Are we only thinking that it's the government that should provide the entire book? No. If the government provides some of the literary tests, all well and good. But if they do not provide, it's the expectation of parents to buy books for their children. Even these children, some of them that are in public school, can do some menial jobs, some dignified menial jobs, to get some of these literary tests for themselves. Some of them, if they have a few copies of the literature books, they can get to read some of them from their friends. And it's not a one-time reading thing. You have to read it severally before the examination, before the 3 years examination, before the 3 years of your senior secondary school terminates. That's the child that is preparing for examination. In the course of reading literary tests, it has to be analyzed using the figures of speech, using the literary techniques. It is a sorry case today that many children of school-going age do not have a proper mastery of literary techniques and figures of speech, which are the literary tools to analyze a literary test. So many of them do not even have a proper mastery. So by the time the examiner says comment on the theme, which is the central idea of a literary test, they will not be able to do anything. By the time the examining body says comment on the literary techniques used in the test, they will not be able to use the literary techniques to objectify and identify the where the literary tests are where the literary techniques are in the literary test. So these are the problems, fundamental and elementary issues that we have in the terminal examination. Now I want teachers to be performing magic to ensure that they pass, whether they know what they expect to know or not. So another issue that is causing failure is disjointed learning experience and change of teachers. Most of the time there are sparsity of teachers in schools, and when there is sparsity of teachers, there will be workload on some teachers that are available for the subjects. At times it is very engaging. Most of the time it is very engaging for the teacher to teach literature. He has to read as many things as possible. He has to prepare his lesson notes. He has to create time. The teacher in question himself needs to have the learning materials. In situations where it's not even available in the school, a teacher in question who is to teach literature successfully who uses our money to procure the tests in order to have a proper mastery of the test before coming to the class to teach. So it's not something that could be done with laziness. It's not something that could be done with lack of resourcefulness. The teacher in question needs to be resourceful in order to teach literature effectively. Without this, there will be a total waste of time, and the entire essence of teaching literature will be a wilderness of wasted logic. What are the reasons? So I have a number of reasons that make children of school-going age to fail literature. Irrelevant biographical details of the author. When you don't have the proper mastery of the background and the setting of the author, the background and the setting of the author will affect the language and the diction of the author. So you must know where the writer is coming from which perspective. Is it from the colonial perspective, from the pre-colonial perspective, or from the Western perspective, or from the African perspective? In what context is this writer writing? If you don't understand the context, it will be very difficult for you to understand the tone and the mood of the writer, which will definitely affect the diction and the message of the literary text. Another thing is the relevant textual reference. When you don't read the literary text severally, not even one time, severally, the child in question will fail colossally in the examination, because you don't write stories in literature. The child in question needs to master events, needs to master occurrences, needs to master at times in the course of doing literature exam, you will ask the question, especially in Shakespeare, who was it said, to whom was it said? Meaning that the child in question needs to master events. He needs to master the plot analysis of the literary text, which is the chronological arrangement of the story from the beginning to the end, to the climax, to the resolution. So these are the things. The storyline needs to be well understood by the student before talking about writing examination. In recent time, some children of school-going age, some students of literature, believe that he can use the commentary textbook, maybe exam focus, maybe exam reflection, maybe comprehensive, as a substitute for the literary text. It's not possible. You have to first read the literary text severally. Then you now read the complementary textbook. That's why I said your parents need to spend money to equip you with textbook. It is your inalienable right from your parents to get textbook for them. And you should know that when your parents cannot provide textbook for you, you should look for other good means, dignifying means to get it for yourself. Maybe by borrowing and making sure that you read the literary text from your colleagues, or you do some other menial dignifying jobs to get the procurement to gain access to the usage of textbooks. Without this, you will be deceiving yourself, thinking you want to write literature examination. At times, children of school-going age fail literature examination because they do not understand the thematic preoccupation of the literary text. What is theme in literature? Theme is the central idea of a literary work, what the work revolves around. Is it talking about political corruption? Is it talking about integrity? Is it talking about poverty? Is it talking about oppression? So there are thematic preoccupation in literary text. When you do not understand the thematic preoccupation of a poem, of a novel or a play, you will find it very difficult to analyze the text easily. Another thing is that when the particular child does not understand the role of each character in a literary text, you cannot identify, you cannot comment on events. You don't have language to comment on events and the character of a literary text. You will find it very difficult to analyze the literary text very well. If you don't have the knowledge of figure of speech and literary techniques, you find it very difficult to analyze the text successfully. So if your language, your English language is poor, you find it difficult to study, be a student of literature, because you will not have a language. You are going to write 6 theory examination, so you cannot afford to write something wishy-washy. That is why in the junior secondary school, parents should buy literature books for their children. They need to buy English textbook for their children. They need to ensure that they use dictionary from time to time. They need to ensure that they listen to good speakers of the language. Without these, the children of school-going age will not be adequately equipped to be a student of literature. Even if a professor is teaching the child in question will fail if the child is not adequately prepared. It's not the teacher that will write the exam. If the teacher has done his quota, the child in question needs to do his quota, knowing that literature is engaging. What you will read to pass literature exam is times 2 of what you will read to pass other examination in the art class. So you should know that it is very engaging, that it's going to take you some time. But in recent time, what we have is generation of children who prefer to press phone, who prefer to buy data, to use their Android rather than buying textbook. So why won't they fail? Why won't they fail? Some children of school-going age they write sketchy answers. Their answers are not detailed. You hardly find points in their answer. Even when they write answer, they write stories. Literature is not about writing story. It's about linking events. It's about talking about the key information. It's about using linguistic evidences, using linguistic and literary techniques to objectify the points in the literary text. So without this, the children of school-going age cannot really do well in literary studies. At times, the children of school-going age, they derail from the answer. They write, they derail. They don't focus on what the examiner is telling them to do. So that's why some of them fail. Then some children of school-going age prefer a particular genre of literature to another genre. You cannot escape any genre. That is why teaching methods must be strategic in handling different genres of literature, be it the drama, be it the prose, be it the poetry. There is language of drama, there is language of prose. The language of drama is conversational and dialogical. The language of prose is epistolaric. It's like a letter, it's like a long narrative. While the language of poetry is laconic, is short, is abridged, is musical. So there are different strategies to, because the language of poetry is condensed and coagulated, it does not make use of verbose expressions. It's laconic, it's abridged. So that's why the teacher in question who is teaching literature needs to reflect on different languages of different genres of literature in order to ensure that he's teaching the literature very well. Many students today fail poetry. They do not like poetry because they are not well taught. The language of poetry is musical. The language of poetry is imagistic. So when the teacher reflects on these things using different literary techniques, figures of speech, assonance, alliteration, end rhyme, refrain, analyzing the text like that, rhetorical question, metaphor, simile, all these things are the things you have to use to analyze a literary text. Some literary texts are Shakespearean sonnet, some are Italian sonnets, some are making use of run-on lines, free verse, some of them are not free verse, some of them make use of end rhyme. There should be a proper dissection in terms of the form and the content. The form and the content of a literary text needs to be very much understood by the child of school-going age. At times, even most of the time, you hardly read a poem without memorizing the number of lines. When a poem is even like 14 lines, there is nothing stopping you from memorizing the entire poem if the poem is not long. So that's why the study of literature is very engaging, because by the time you are writing the answer and you say there is the use of metaphor in this literary text, there is the use of simile in this literary text, there is the use of personification, you must be able to illustrate with some lines in the poem, with some lines in the play, with some lines in the novel. It's not something you read one time and forget about reading it. We have lazy children of school-going age. That is why they are failing literature. It's not a study for the lazy ones. Even the teacher that will teach it, it's not a lazy teacher that can teach literature. The student of literature must not be a lazy student of literature. If you are lazy, you are heading for failure. It's as simple as ABC. So that is why they are failing literature, because we have generation of children of school-going age who are too lazy, because they are not motivated to study literature. They should enjoy it, because the entire act of literature is an encouraging one, is an interesting one, is something that should elevate you, is something that should make you happy, is something that applies to life, is an imitation of real life situation, is to broaden your scope, is to make you a philosopher king, is to make you a thinker, is to make you an adept user of the language. So these are the things that should motivate children of school-going age to study literature, even when the teacher has not really engaged you. For instance, if a teacher is teaching a particular novel or a play, the use of role play will go a long way. The use of project method, assignment method to teach will be very important. For example, if a particular play has 4 acts, there is nothing stopping the teacher from grouping the children of school-going age into 4 groups. Okay, group A, read Act 1 this week. By next week, by the end of this week, next week, you will present it. The upper week, group 2, Act 2, you will present whatever you have read. There is no way a child will be able to understand Act 2 without understanding Act 1. Thank you very much, Mr. Kayode Emmanuel Odni, who is watching me. God bless you. So, by the time you do project method, by the time you do assignment method, by the time you do discussion method, it will be very easy for the teacher to teach literature so easily. But the question there is, how many parents will buy textbook for their children as and when due? That is the big question. You are waiting for government. Many of them are waiting for government. Is it the government that will do that for you? If the government provides book, it's a plus. It's a plus. But the main person that is expected to really provide book for the child are the parents. It may cost you some other things, not buying clothes. It may cost you not going to funeral services to procure textbook for your child, because it's their inalienable right. The child that is a product of a parent, that is an offspring of a parent, has got the inalienable right to education under the law from the parents as the number one agent over the life of the child. After that, then we can now be talking about the dividends of democracy, where government can supply books to school, and these children of school going age can still benefit for such a kind gesture. So is the collective effort of everybody. If this problem, not even only in literature, if the educational system is going to be better, there should be procurement of textbook in schools. The parents need to see it as an obligation to procure textbook for their child. Without this, the teacher is not a magician. The teacher is not a magician. You will only be discussing the problem of education, the problem of failure of students in examination in isolation if other variables are not put in place. Economics will say all things being equal. All things. In other words, it's not something that a particular thing will be something will be in place and another thing will not be in place and we are expecting result. It's not done that way. Many parents don't even come to school to monitor the child's education. Many parents will not even come for PTA meeting where they can actually listen to a number of things that will benefit their children. And they will say, I have paid school fees. It does not end with paying school fees. At times, we may need to wake these children up as early as 4 a.m. in the morning to read. At times, we may need to regulate their conveniences in the home. Many parents today prefer to buy Android for their children instead of buying textbook. Many of them today prefer to register them in miracle centers instead of monitoring their examination, monitoring their studies. At the end of the day, when you register them in miracle center, they will score your A1 for you in your WAEC, in the NECO, in whatever. But let them get to JAMB, they begin to score 120, they begin to score 100. Because they are not well grounded in the O level. The O level is not they are not the owner of the O level. So if your parents just believe they don't want to be deceiving themselves, they should keep listening to us. They should keep doing whatever we are telling them to do here. It will go a long way to help them. We are not talking to parents who prefer to register their children in Miracle Center. Let them go. By the time they register in Miracle Center and they have distinction, they will not be able to use it for JAMB. They will not be able to use it to gain admission. And when the children of school going age even graduate, they will not be able to stand shoulder with their colleagues within or outside the shores of the country. By the time they get job, they'll be going to mess themselves up in the job because they are not well grounded. They are not well grounded. That's what we are talking about. We are talking about qualitative and superlative education. What are the things that the parents need to do to ensure it? What are the things that the child in question needs to do? At times, parents may need to regulate the usage of home conveniences, such as video, such as television. You may need to regulate it so that these children of school going age may have ample time to read. You may need to regulate the domestic chores you give to them during the period of terminal examination so that they can have ample time to study. Without this, they cannot do well academically. Without this. Then lack of teaching materials even in schools. So in some schools, there are no teaching materials. So it is only a very generous teacher who will use his personal money to procure literary tests. In some cases, when the teacher is not that buoyant enough, he will just be managing. So he will not be able to prove. And these books in recent time, we all know that books are now very expensive. But we cannot say because books are not expensive, they must be available. Being expensive is not the issue. We are also grooming children who are potential writers who will also make money from buying books, from other people buying books in the nearest future. So let them buy the books. For example, if a particular parent will buy the entire book that is necessary for the child to pass the O-level examination, to say the least, the parents in question cannot spend less than 20,000 naira. He will spend more. But that is the requirement of the class. Only on literature. We spend more than 20,000 naira. Because you will buy the literary test, you will buy a standard commentary textbook, you will buy YX series. So it cannot be less than 20,000. That is the requirement. It cannot be less. Unless you just want us to be deceiving you. That is the requirement. It is only when the child in question has the textbook that he will be able to read. So it will be very stupid of any child for your parents to nail themselves to the cross and buy textbook for you and you not reading it. That's another thing. At times parents will they will nail themselves to the cross to buy textbook for children of school going age. These children will find it very difficult to read. And they will be looking for magic. They will be expecting magic in the examination hall. It's a sorry case. It's a sorry case. So literature, you cannot pass literature with laziness, with bad disposition to studies. It's not done. At times you may need to even brainstorm with your colleagues. What have you read? What discussion method? Then in the educational media arena and the educational technology arena, if some of these plays can be made into films, if educational media programs can be projected, if some of them can be made into audios, discussions on audios, discussions on by video clips, acting the plays, it will even generate employment for some other people. Some people need to be in the educational media area where they produce standard instructional aid to elevate the teaching of not only literature and several other subjects. We just have to look for a way to imbibe some innovations. By special grace of God, I don't believe any child cannot pass. If a child is not a nonentity, if a child is not born a buffoonery, if a child is not born a dumb, there is no reason why a child should not pass. All things being equal. All things being equal. The teacher is not a magician. The teacher is not a magician. Parents should know this. Some parents say, I've paid the school fees. It does not end there. Paying the school fees is just 1/3 of the requirement of putting a child in school. It's just 1/3. Other things need to be in place. If you will not waste that your hard-earned money. We are not talking of cutting corners, a situation where you have a proprietor who is aiding and abetting examination malpractice, who is bribing supervisor. We are not talking of that. We are talking about how these children can get this thing done without cutting corners. It's possible for them to get it done. It's possible for them to have their distinctions without cutting corners. When you say a child should repeat as a school administrator, there must be ways for parents to understand that repeating a class is not the end of the road. There will be other things to give the child to make sure that the child in question comes back, is able to be up his game academically. There are some other things that will be done for the child to be more brilliant academically. Wasting that very 1 year does not mean that the child in question cannot succeed. It does not mean that the child in question will be behind schedule in terms of succeeding in life. No, it's an holistic attempt to groom the child. We are not talking about raising idiots and non-entities in the society. No, that's not what we are talking about. No. Parents should get this. School administrators should get this. The government should get this. We cannot politicize education. We cannot politicize education. Although politics and education cannot be separated. It cannot be separated. In fact, one of the dividends of democracy is qualitative education. It has to be done well. There should be capital investment in education. By the government, and the parents in question should know that they have to spend a lot of money to ensure that their child is good academically. Without this, they cannot do well in studies. Many students do not cover the syllabus. They do not. They do not cover the syllabus. Mr. Kayode Olufemi Kolawole, thank you very much for watching us. Many of them do not cover the syllabus. At times, literature is not being taught by experts. Yes, somebody who read something that is not even really too related with literature, you are telling the person to, it's a special course. If literature is not taught by experts, or if it is disjointedly taught, maybe you give it to a copper, by the time another copper comes in who is not even well grounded, you are giving the syllabus to another copper to take in a disjointed manner like that, it will affect the results, whether we like it or not. The teacher needs to give them good, thank you very much, sir. The teacher needs to give them good notes to consolidate what is being taught. Apart from this, parents need to get commentary textbook for their children to consolidate what they have read in the literary text. Without this, there will be waste of time. The examination malpractice is another reason. By the time they say they want to copy, like they are copying other things, if they copy mathematics, well, the same method, everything. If they copy government, to some extent there are certain things, but they cannot copy literature. When you copy literature, it will be so evident that you have done examination malpractice, because there is no way you will think the same way. It's not possible. You have to use your language to write everything. It's not possible. So the students of school going need to forget about laziness. They say they want to be students of literature. Laziness should be out of their life. At times, even the teacher that wants to teach you is waking up in the middle of the night to read. Even if the teacher that is teaching you wants to write the exam, he will spend a lot of sleepless nights reading the literary text, reading commentary textbook, memorizing a lot of things, memorizing a number of lines in the poem, taking note of key events, key messages of different texts, taking note of different things, so that when questions are being asked, you will be able to answer. Then when you have even covered the syllabus as a teacher, or when you have even covered the syllabus as a student, it is expected of you to study literature with possible past questions. What are the things that these examiners are likely to ask? Then how do you write literature exam? You are going to write six different theory examinations. This 6 different essays. Every essay must have introduction, body, and conclusion. Your points must be developed paragraph by paragraph, taking note of events, taking note of occurrences, taking note of characters, taking note of themes, taking note of the literary techniques. In cases where you want to identify literary techniques, where you have to put them in inverted comma. Then another thing about writing literature examination is that it is written in present tense. It is written in present tense. So these are the key things that children of school going age need to know. Without this, we will only be shifting blame. Parents should buy books, government should provide books, government should employ more literature teachers, more experts, so that there will not be paucity of teachers and there will not be brain drain for the available limited number of teachers we have. Because most of the times these literature teachers that will teach English in the entire school. So if they are not really interested, there can be fatigue. It's not even easy to analyze literary text. It's not easy. There are several topics in English language that I don't need to study anything before I teach them. But there is no way I want to teach literature that I will not study. I can teach over 60% of the topics in English language in the secondary school and elementary level. I can write my lesson notes at times, though I will have to consult some textbooks, but it might not be as intense as I will need to consult textbook when I am teaching literature. So we have to understand these realities at the level of the child that is preparing for the exam, and at the level of the parents that is having a child that is in the art class, and at the level of the child that is preparing, at the level of the teacher that is preparing the student. Is engaging. It's an engaging is an engaging field of study where a lazy person must not dabble into. They should have the right disposition. The children of school going age should have the right disposition to study, the right disposition. Without this, there will be continuous failure in studying literature, in literature scholarship. There will be deficiency. So I want to use this medium to thank everybody who has been watching me since morning. I want to thank my fans and lovers who allow my clip to be shared in various platforms. I want to use this medium to urge us to continue listening to us. We'll be bringing salient issues once in a while to discuss like this. And at times we'll be discussing topics on English language. At times we'll be discussing sensitive administrative issues. That's what the Pedagogues is all about, so that the educational system can be better. And we pray, by the special grace of God, the educational system will be better in times to come, and of course in a no distant time. Thank you so much. Wishing you a very happy weekend. God bless you.